This is in response to Dr. Paul Krugman's article from the New York Times on January, what the heck the day is it, 17, 16, 17, 19th, 2015, hating good government. Now, I wish I could have come up with a line like that a long time ago, but I guess that's why he's a PhD Nobel Prize winner, and I flunked out of college twice. So, Dr. Krugman brings up about 4 pertinent things about what's going on in the daily discourse of what's happening in the world today, and how our friends, our brothers and sisters on the Republican, on the conservative, on the Tea Party side don't even take facts into consideration when they want to affect any type of policy. So the first thing he talks about is that 2014 was now shown to be the hottest year upon record. And apparently for a long period of time, there was a blip in 1998, which got very, very hot. And of course, our friends on the other side have basically been saying that actually the Earth has been cooling down since then. So again, you had one blip, that basically shows that there was one thing, but in every other year after that, for the last 10 years, we've had hot, very, very hot years, much more so than we had in the 70s and 80s and 60s, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So it's showing that the trend is continuing, and that one year was just a blip. But our friends on the other side, no, they want to continue to say that actually the Earth is cooling because 1998 was actually the hottest year, but now it's not the hottest year. So what are they going to say now? They're not going to say anything. They're just going to keep on going with the same meme, whatever, that they've been doing all along. And Dr. Krugman brings out, when we're talking about things that are facts, that there really shouldn't be a debate about that. We should acknowledge the facts. Now, as he has pointed out earlier, how can you have a debate with someone when they won't even acknowledge what the facts are? If you each have your own separate set of facts, and of course, what our friends on the other side are saying is that their facts are true, and that their facts are indisputable. Our facts, meaning on the progressive side, are the ones that are just corrupt. So you have that little type of thing. But as I like to say, when you have, John Oliver put on 97 scientists in terms of how many people think that there is global warming, and then there were 3 scientists who didn't think there was global warming. So where do the facts really stand about this? And of course, that's dogma. That's how our friends on the other side want to portray the issue. And he brings up 3 other issues, I believe it was. And remember that when our friends on the other side have a dogma, it's that dogma is now and that dogma is forever. So remember, the dogma is always going to be that 1998 was the hottest year on record, and ever since then the Earth has actually been cooling. So, and then he goes into a couple other things. The first thing he brings up is the esteemed, is that a good word for him, Senator Sam Brownback from Kansas, who, Tea Party favorite, was a United States Senator, born again, converted Catholic, big time, how would you say, not Tea Party, but supply side economics. So basically, he became governor a couple of years ago, signed all these bills into legislation, cut taxes all over the place. Now Kansas can't even pay its bills. And of course, the thinking is that when you cut taxes all over the place, that frees up the market. All this extra money comes in the marketplace for all the job creators, and more jobs are created. But of course, that has never been a proven fact. It has never been remotely true. It's never happened. But they keep saying it's happened, so it's their dogma. And now it comes to smack them in the face. But will they ever accept, that that is what's happening? Now we're hearing that Sam Brownback is going to raid the education fund for Kansas, and might raise what they call user fees on driving records and things like driving licenses, things like that. But again, it didn't work there. The dogma is that it will always work. Yeah, so you have 1998. You have the supply side economics that cutting taxes will always bring in more revenue because it frees up the money. Then we go into the Affordable Care Act. The Affordable Care Act, as we know, has signed up over 10 million people. We know a couple things from that. That's number one, the percentage of people who are uninsured has gone down dramatically. The fear that people have in terms of economic insecurity because they don't have any insurance has gone down considerably, and the fact that there is some insurance, so people won't necessarily have to lose their life savings to get an operation. That fear has gone down quite a bit. He also brought up the disease control. Remember when the Ebola thing was going out and our friend Billy was ranting and raving about how we needed to fire the head of the CDC. He wasn't doing his job. He didn't know what he was talking about. Have you ever heard an apology from Billy? Have you ever heard an apology from anyone on that side? They were wrong on the facts. They had no idea what went on with infectious diseases. They had a reactionary plan that sounded great. You know, cut off the borders. That's what they do with immigration. Cut off the borders. But of course, again, that didn't work. And the way the CDC portrayed what was going to happen is what happened. I believe that the one person initially died, and I think that one other person who got infected over there, they came over here, they couldn't save that particular person, so 2 people died. Both of them got infected over there. All of the stuff that was going on the right wing, of course, that was right before the election. So again, what our friends on the opposite side are portraying again and again and again is that government doesn't work well. It won't work well. It can't work well. So we should invest less money in government and then prove that it won't work well. So it's like a catch-22. It's a never-ending type of thing. So you want to starve government so that it can't work well because you want to say that we need to starve it because it's not working well anyway. So, of course, we have this rage that goes on the other side. And what I like to say is the way it works is like this. So let's just say that in terms of the Ebola thing, the progressive side, the CDC, the side with the facts, were 98% correct in everything that they did. Now, were they get a little bit behind the game initially? Yes. Was it a complete mistake on their part? No. Did they scramble very, very diligently, work very hard, just like with the ACA, to get their website back up, to get it running very quickly? Yes. Did our opponents on the other side, day in and day out, hammer them, come up with all of these crazy, crazy ideas about what would happen in terms of Ebola and what would happen in terms of the Affordable Care Act? The Affordable Care Act, it would drown because it would fall under its own weight because only sick people would join up, and then when sick people got all that coverage, then all the money would go out and it would never do it, that there would be death panels. So remember all that crap. And then remember Billy saying that CDC guys should get fired, said that we should close our borders. Of course, none of that was necessary. None of that was necessary. It was all completely reaction. So again, let's just say that in terms of the Ebola virus, in terms of the Affordable Care Act, 98% of the stuff the progressives said were going to happen happened. And to get back to the Affordable Care Act real quick, 10 million enrollees, more people are being treated for what might be ailing them. They're not suffering from a tremendous amount of stress by the fact that they're not insured, and that those who are insured are also not under as much stress because it's not going to cost them their life savings to get it done. But again, our friends are taking those few 2 or a little 3%, just like the 97% of climate scientists that say that there is global warming, as opposed to the 3% who say they're not. They take that 3%, they scream, they shout, they yell, they go into a complete rage. And then they bring all of the people who are following them, who are part of that, into that rage. That's just the way it's got to be. And of course, I like to say that this also follows what John Dean had talked about in his book in terms of RWAs, right-wing. I forgot that term. I can't even think of the term. But they agree 100% with the person on top. Right-wing authoritarians. So they listen to what comes up from top, from Billy, from Sean Hannity, from Rush Limbaugh, from Fox News, etc. They take it as dogma. They preach it. It's never going to change, and they're wrong. They're wrong. But here's the thing: they believe that that someone up top should be the one to be telling them what they believe in, and that person is, let's say, Rush Limbaugh, and he says it's that. So they believe that. They believe it. That is their dogma. So again, Dr. Krugman points out that what we have here is people who do not want government to work well. They don't want to be told what to do. They think that all of the things that government does hurt the average person and hurt the wealthy person. And that the best thing we can do is get rid of government, or as the Republicans like to do, make government not work so that we can take more money away from government so we continue to make it not work. And, what we have here, in terms of what the CDC did, in terms of what the Affordable Care Act did, and hopefully what will happen in terms of what climate change is all about, is that we need to have good, efficient, effective government to make these things work out. And that's what these people, our friends and brothers, our friends and sisters on the other side, they don't believe in. They don't want to believe in any of that stuff. Because one of the reasons they won't, and Newt Gingrich said this a couple of years ago before he ran for president, so he couldn't say that anymore, was, you see, the thing, if you believe that climate change is actually true, then you have to believe that government has to take a leading role in affecting climate change. And if you don't believe that the government can do that, but you do believe in global climate change, you got a conflict. And of course, that really puts a strain on them. And here's the thing: they will never change. They will go to their deathbed kicking and screaming, about the Affordable Care Act, about Ebola, about global climate change. They only want to have their own facts. And, Sam Brownback is a perfect example of that. And we need to get rid of these people as fast as possible.